Well, hello, good people and Eagle fans. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Booth Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's Saturday evening. Tomorrow, wow, this time tomorrow, everybody will be in Oxnard. I can't wait. I'm so happy that we can finally get away from proposed trades and, all these rankings and stuff, that we can actually look at what's going on the field and hopefully get a real taste for what is actually, that the team is actually going to be about. And we can put all this stuff in the rearview mirror and so on. We have a bunch of players that are really put on blast, where part of the problem the Cowboys have had is we haven't gotten that oomph like you want from your early round picks the last couple of years. Tyler Guyton, I have hope for him, but when you get a first round guy, you expect that guy to be a starter and an impact player. You just do. And your second round pick should be a starter and a good starter at that. If you can't get that out of that, you're in trouble. And you can look at the last couple of drafts where we've had questions, between Tyler Guyton and Mazi Smith. Now, for me, Mazi is now going on his third year with his third defensive coordinator. Now, you can say I'm making excuses for Mazi, but Dan Quinn does not like really big guys. He likes guys that can rush the passer and can get upfield, and that was never Mazi's game. Maybe Mazi was not the right fit for Dan Quinn's defense. And you can look at everybody who's been a big guy on our team. Dan Quinn has gotten rid of him, whether it was Quentin Bohannon, whether it was John Ridgway. I love John Ridgway. I wish we still had John Ridgway. He is definitely a headbanger. And when you start thinking about Mazi and Tyler Guyton, we need more from those guys if we're going to be able to go where we want to go. Now, this is, for me, I looked at Mazi Smith at training camp last year. It wasn't a matter of work ethic. He was not deemed a lazy guy. He was the first guy on the field working with the coaches, and he was the last one off the field. And I remember seeing times where Micah Parsons is after practice running sprints with him, just the two of those guys, putting in as much work as possible to make sure that, he's learning as much as he could. Now, he started the season, after basically Dan Quinn kind of abandoned him. We heard Mike Zimmer say things like, we have to start over from square one with him and teach him everything. And when he started out the season, he was 217 out of 217. But he worked his way up, and he started having flashes last year. And so there's a discussion on 105.3 The Fan where Greg Ellis, former Dallas Cowboy great, talks about him and says that, this might be a guy that we might need to trade. We need him to be good. So let's listen into this, because this is really key on where we want to be. Because if Mazi's not good, are we going to rely on a fifth-round rookie, Jay Tola? That's not good.
Was talking Mazi Smith here.
Here we go.
Maz, you do have to look at the coaching change. The year before we got there, it was more just vertical, get up and field, get up, field, get up, field. Really not Mazi's game, to be honest with you. I think he played better last year. He flashed some good stuff, in my opinion, but he kind of showed why the Cowboys drafted him, what they saw. Now we switching up again, and from my understanding, this again, more vertical charge. But hopefully they factor something into the equation to allow Mazi's superhero ability to flash. If not, you may need to just trade him.
Wow.
I like what Greg's doing there.
I'm sure there's a lot of buyers on Mazi Smith right now. Do you think you get a player to be named later? Cash considerations, the cash being the 5
I don't know that you're going to get a lot.
Broadus is going to put on the Nick Saban return to LSU.
Yeah. I think teams would say back, we'll wait until you cut him.
Yeah.
We're not that hot on him. Is there any chance here, Brian, for Mazi Smith?
Well, if you watch the games that he played against division opponents, that's your hope. I mean, if I was a pro personnel guy and I was trying to sell him to our staff, I would say, here's the cut up I did of him playing against the world champs for a couple of times, and here's against the Commanders who were in the finals, and then here's against the Giants, and try and show that kind of film about him, and put together a pretty good reel. Yeah, I mean, you could sell him that way, but the problem they're going to ask you about is consistency. That's they're like, well, what about the other games? I'm like, well, this is who he is right now.
How about to Greg's point of him playing a different style than what he was best at? Can you on a
well, he was always a two-gap guy.
Yeah.
And coming out of Michigan, that was a problem, and that's why he lost all that weight, because he was hearing how he wasn't quick enough. But at Michigan, he played that scheme where he came off the ball, he extended into the blocker, he looked inside, he looked outside, and then he reacted to the ball. Mm-hmm. Michigan, if you watch their guys, which we did, and they had some really good defensive linemen this year, they played up the field. It's a completely different scheme than what they had played in the past years. And so, with Mazi, it's just about getting more consistent,
right?
Of trying to put plays back to back, not have one or two good plays and then two or three bad plays in a row, or plays where he's not a factor.
We need
that's the biggest problem with Mazi, is he just can't play to a level where it's just like it's like a series of boy, that was good Mazi Smith football right there.
I think, and I don't want to crush him for the quote, but there is something to him saying whenever it was rookie year, whenever, I don't even really like football. I just like hitting people.
No, that's the problem. And I think this is where Will McClay and the staff, and there were some questions, and they might have taken a guy in Guyton the same way that might not have liked football, and there were some questions about that. And so there's I think Will McClay and the staff got together and with the coaches and kind of said, listen, we need to take – Will even talked about it pre-draft meeting. He made it a point of emphasis about, hey, what we're looking for, and get back on that train of getting guys that do love football. But
Tyler Booker said, hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
and the entire draft class was all about that. Captains and high character guys that love the sport.
That's if it's a hard game. If you don't love the game, it's a hard game to play.
I think Greg Ellis saying Mazi's superpower, to me, his superpower coming out was his strength and his power.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys did him a disservice. And I mean, Will McClay might be driving around listening and saying, go F yourself, Wooly, but they immediately talked about him having untapped pass rush potential. I don't really care about Mazi's pass rush. If you
need him to stop the run.
Develop that, cool, awesome. But I think they were kind of asking him to do something, and maybe in his own mind, he started focusing on this, and that's not a strength of his, is getting up the
Here, okay, couple things in Mazi's defense, okay? Defensive tackles take years to develop. And they took a guy who was a run stuffer. That's all he really was. And then they tried to make him a pass rusher. And I think that what they've done is basically blown his confidence. And changing coordinators over and over and over again has done him a disservice. I still believe in Mazi. I think that he can still be a very productive player, but I think that they need to figure out how to use him the right way. One of the things the Cowboys always seem to do that kind of screws up players. I mean, Rico Gathers, I think it was, tight end. He was about 260, 265. He could leap out of the building. He was like a gazelle. And they're like, yeah, that's great. You can catch the football, but we want you to be a blocking tight end, so we need you to put on weight. And he put on 30 pounds, and he looked like it was painful when he would run downfield. He was never a great blocker, and then the thing that he had that was great, he lost. He couldn't jump. He couldn't run. And so when you start all of a sudden saying, yeah, we understand you're a great run stuffer, but you got to be able to get upfield and rush the quarterback. Well, now you're getting me to do something that I never did before. I think he had half a sack or one sack in college. And now you're trying to make him into something that he's not. Stop being, Dr. Frankenstein and trying to create something different. Take what a guy has and does well and use that thing that they do well. They've screwed up so many players by moving around and trying to do different things with them. I have hope with them. I hope that Mazi works out. We're going to need him to work out because as far as trade value, if you're thinking you're going to get a first-round pick back for Mazi, you're not. You're not. Teams will wait until you cut him. They're not going to give you anything. If they do, it'll be a seventh-round pick. you're not getting anything for them. You need to make it work. Alrighty, good people, as always, you know how we roll. I got to get out of here. I appreciate you guys. And the off season is almost off. Peace.
Can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Stewardess, please let me handle this.
I've got to get out.
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're wanted on the phone. Everything's going to be all right. Please.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.
I've got to get out.